Welcome to today's episode on Be an Even Better Mom. A reminder that our podcasts are not medical advice.
And today we are going to share that we are re-releasing last year's Mother's Day episodes in honor of Mother's Day again. We had 3 episodes last year, a Mother's Day gift with tips on how to approach Mother's Day, honoring your relationship with your own mother, and how to be a better mom. And these episodes were some of our most popular episodes. And so, with that in mind, we will be releasing them midweek for the next few weeks surrounding Mother's Day. And you might ask, why would we do that? Well, first of all, they're really good. Second of all, when we thought about what we wanted to share this year, much of it was encompassed in those 3 episodes already. And so rather than repeating ourselves, we will just bring those episodes right to the front of everyone's queue to take a listen and hear the amazing tips that we talked about last year. And so today's episode is an episode about our reflections on motherhood over the last year since then. For me this year, the mother role has been less top of mind, not just for me personally, but also for many of the people that I work with. What I've noticed is a lot less attention on our relationships with our own mothers and less drama about perhaps our inadequacies as a mother. More stress and struggle with relationships with our spouses and perhaps our co-parenting, and more concern about doing the right thing by our children who may be suffering as a result of perhaps challenges that came up during COVID, more mental health issues, life stresses, puberty stresses, not from a place of not knowing what to do, but from a place of love and just really wanting to help is what I'm noticing.
And conversely, for me, I have taken an intentional pause from starting to teach any new online courses in my entrepreneurial journey for 2022 to be present for my kids. So the first quarter, basically, of 2022 has largely been about presence as a mother. Both are back in school in person, and especially with my eldest's currently tumultuous forays in puberty, it's definitely been hard, full of ups and downs, full of joys in between. Such a glorious ride, I do want to say, with the full spectrum of this journey so far. And full disclosure, this time has also been a wonderful opportunity to reparent myself from my own journey with childhood emotional neglect and the realization that that's what happened in my childhood growing up. And so there have been some tender periods where I've been touched very deeply, where kind of old wounds have resurfaced. But ultimately, in going through the process and working through all of that, it's been deeply healing for me.
And I think that's what we want to talk about today is showing up intentionally for motherhood, parenthood. And you mentioned being present. And I teach a course called Parent with Presence. And I'm thinking that this podcast may be dedicated not only to parenting or mothering with presence, but also with purpose, and peace and intention. And that it's really when we are present for it, that's where we can show up with attention and intention. So the intention of today's episode is to reflect on motherhood, and not just specifically of our biological children, but all the forms and kinds of motherhood and the trials and tribulations therein, and the love and the joy and the awe and the wonder. And whether you are a biological mom, a stepmom, an adoptive mom, or a mother-in-law, that we want to explore approaching this role and the season of that role, whatever it might look like, puberty or otherwise, that approaching it with intention, mindful attention and intention, choosing who you want to be and how you want to show up for.
And attention and intention mindfully is love is how one can show love. We hope for this podcast that you'll discover gratitude, awe, love, and wonder while being intentional in whatever mothering role that you are in, including the role of mothering yourself.
And takeaways are the power of curiosity and the power of intention and showing up purposefully, and also the power of gratitude, awe, wonder, and love. So I thought I'd start us off with a quote that I shared actually in one of the episodes from last year, which was written by Janet Archer, actually for her mom. And she says, "Little did I know that in the end, you would be one of my greatest teachers. I love how life always gives us what we need most, and life gave me you." And I like this quote because not only do we have the perfect mom, we are the perfect mom. Our children are the perfect children for us, and we are all each other's greatest teachers. And when we show up with that curiosity about why we might be the greatest teachers and learning and exploring rather than focusing on outcome, it changes the experience. And this is also true, again, whether there are biologic children, adopted children, stepchildren, in-law children, etc. And so what I wanted to reflect on today is this idea of intention in the mom role. And as many of you know from our previous episode, we have an episode called Why Intentions Are Better Than Goals. And this strikes me super relevant for this idea of motherhood. You know, our goal might be happy and healthy children, but setting an intention or setting a tone and a feeling is a much more empowered place to be coming from. And then also, when we set an intention, we are showing up empowered rather than as a victim of whatever, puberty, teenagehood, illness, whatever it might be. And so when we show up with intention, we are not victims and we're not blowing in the wind, or as we mentioned last time, we're not resisting the wind of whatever phase of parenthood we're in. And this intention is also inspired by my own mother-in-law, who is actually not with us anymore. But when I got engaged, she told me that her intention was to be an amazing mother-in-law, just like her mother-in-law. And I have to say that was like a blow my mind novel concept when she said that. And she was not perfect, but she certainly tried. And I have recently learned that I'm going to be a mother-in-law. And so I immediately said, I'm going to do that too. I'm going to be the best mother-in-law, and I'm going to actually openly set that intention. And so that's really where I'm coming at this podcast from. But I also think I'm also going to be the best mother I can be, and the best mother for that newly engaged couple, and the best mother for my child graduating from college, and the best mother for my 16-year-old. And all of those take different skills and different talents and different thoughts, and they all have different frustrations, and they all have places where I could be a victim, or things could be happening, or I could be reacting or frustrated or worried. And yet when I think about it from this intention standpoint, how do I want to show up for it? What kind of mom do I want to be? I can step out of all of that little drama and noise and show up with purpose and enjoy it. That gets me to not only parenting with presence, but parenting with peace and purpose.
For me, first of all, congratulations, Jessie. Like, that's huge news that you're going to be a mother-in-law. This is relatively recent.
It's crazy town. I never
Development.
expected to be. I mean, clearly I would be a mother-in-law someday, but it's not something that had ever crossed my mind.
So that's a huge new role that you'll be taking on, and basically welcoming in a new member of the family, and also becoming a mother to your daughter, soon to be daughter-in-law. So that's really.
And as we will discuss, I think on a future episode, I don't have any daughters, nor do I have any sisters. And so there's a lot of intention around what you make that look like. Hopefully someday I will have granddaughters, and then we can have a podcast episode on being a grandmother. But for now, I think there is an intention. And when you're in a very new role, it just reminds you of that. And so I think sometimes when we're a brand new mom, it reminds us, but when we're in the midst and the muck of the mire of puberty and teenagers and toddlers, even, but not at the beginning, we sometimes get distracted.
Yeah, and the intention can be our compass to kind of help us guide back and help us return to showing up as our authentic selves in that moment. For me this year in my mothering journey, I've already shared before, but I'm going to share it again that I'm deep diving in my own self compassion journey, which really goes hand in hand with all of the reparenting opportunities that I've been having with my pubescent eldest. So during this pause from my entrepreneurial teaching courses journey, there's a common analogy that comes up in self compassion and all of the different infographics in showing how a loving mother would treat their child when their child is suffering. And so we how about we bestow some of that same nurturing and unconditional motherly love unto ourselves, so that at any point in time, if we need to and want to, we can also be a mother to ourselves. And perhaps even more so if we are missing our moms or did not receive the type of love that we needed to in order to feel nurtured.
So I just wanted to reflect on self compassion. I think that it's key to being a good parent. And it's actually not something that we really talked about last year, having just re listened to the episodes and thinking that that is a huge piece of my personal evolution this year. And when we had Kristen Neff come and talk about self compassion, and I've done a lot of exploration of Shauna Shapiro's book, Good Morning, I Love You, and different ways of expressing self compassion and bringing in kindness to self. And more recently, realizing how often subversively we don't give ourselves credit for things that we've done well. And this brings up that I have a very good friend who I was walking with one day, and she was complimenting me on my parenting and how I'd done such a good job on my children. This was about 4 years ago. And I immediately told her, well, not really, because this and that, and it's only because of this. And I kind of like minimized all of it. And she said, do you know that you always do that? You always minimize things. And I had not, until she brought it up, been aware of it. And I think over the last few years, this journey of showing my self compassion. And last year we talked about being proud as a parent, and that modeling how you can accept that and modeling what you have done well, and letting people sort of bring that in is a beautiful thing that we can do for our kids. And also modeling when we make terrible mistakes, which we will as a parent. We make bad decisions, or maybe we gave them not good advice, or maybe we gave them the best advice we had, but it didn't turn out the way we thought, whatever it might be. Modeling self-compassion around our own mistakes is really important as a parent and a mom. And when we don't do that, or more specifically, when we hide our mistakes and or hide our successes, that is can be not helpful for our kids. Sharing vulnerability is one of the most helpful things we can do as a mother. And it may seem like I got a little off track there on the like being proud and letting things in, but I also think that for me, at least, being able to do that took a lot of self-compassion to realize that it was really uncomfortable for me, and that somehow my brain thought that that was not okay to let in compliments, and almost in the sense that like if I allowed myself to be a really good mother, that would also be very stressful, and I might make a mistake or I might blow it. Just at the same time, I was also always worried that maybe I was doing it wrong. And I see this in so many other people, that we are just not comfortable in wherever we are and however we're doing it. So to me, the self-compassion is being comfortable with where we are and how we've done it. And the fact that we're going to do some things amazing and we're going to do some things not very well. And we will be okay in the long run, and our children will likely be okay in the long run. And all we can do is show up with compassion for them and compassion for ourselves, that it's a bumpy journey.
So, to summarize, I am inviting all of you to own it. Wherever you are in the process of owning it, whether it be owning the compliments and letting them land and absorb, or owning the mistakes and apologizing and letting your children see mistakes and being witness to apologies and what happens afterwards. I think owning it and giving yourself permission to own it and modeling that behavior can be immensely helpful for not only ourselves, but also anyone that we are mothering.
Yeah, and that is an intention, which is interesting because I hadn't really thought about it that way, but that's a beautiful way to think about it. And a couple of things that came up in last year's episodes that I just wanted to reflect on and I think are really relevant here as we sort of think about our intentions, not resisting reality and in being willing to accept and allow whatever is. And also intentionally noticing abundance was one thing we talked about. And that is, what have you done well as a mom? How has it turned out better than you expect? Where have you rocked it? Because we don't think about those things. We notice what has a problem and what did we miss and where did we not get it right. And then the other thought is that it's even if you're doing an amazing job, it still might not feel amazing. And so that it's just like life, it hurts because we love, and it's going to feel great and not feel good, and this sort of full spectrum part of it. And just letting all of that in is part of the process. And so intentionally being open to whatever comes and then owning whatever that might be and however you showed up for it. That is really, if we talk about how to be an even better mom, that's quite an up level. And I will just acknowledge, not an easy task. And that I'm not saying I have it right, but setting that intention to just own it and to be present and to have purpose and to have peace as a mom can be really, really powerful.
We are all works in progress for sure. And I just want to call out that the noticing of abundance will help to counteract our basic human circuitry of good old negative attention bias. Rick Hanson's quote that negative events stick to us like Velcro, whereas positive events slide off like Teflon. Super true in mothering for sure.
100%. And so I think shifting into how do you want to be an even better mom going forward? And to me, that question gets you out of what maybe you've done wrong or all the little details in the weeds and what's going right and what's going wrong. It's like, how do you want to show up for the rest of it? And in all of last year's mothering episodes, I reflected on my words for the year as guides. And so I thought, oh, well, I haven't thought about that in a while, and I wonder if they would apply here. And as usual, they applied perfectly. And so I just wanted to share some thoughts. So my words for this year were light. And so light as an intention relates to mom would be to be detached from the outcome, to not get too sucked in, to not get too heavy, to not be overwhelmed and over worried, to show up with just a sort of lightness. Light is non-judgmental. Light is simple. Light is clear. And so for me, that was really very relevant to parenting. One of my other words is luxurious. And I thought, wow, well, that's the awe and wonder we were talking about, and gratitude and positive attention bias and the laughter, and presence is literally luxurious. And the other thing for me that's luxurious is minimalism. And so not sort of getting drawn into too many activities, too many trips, too much stuff. And just whether it's in even too much time away, like keeping it simple, keeping our time together simple, which doesn't mean that you wouldn't do something really fabulous that one child wanted to do. For example, many of you, I think, are aware that I took my middle son on a solo trip, and I try to do that intermittently with my kids. And it was quite luxurious, but it's luxurious to spend time with them one-on-one. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that you overdo it or you do a lot, but being luxurious in thinking about it and approaching it and allowing yourself to enjoy it. And then one of my other words for the year is trust. And I think that is one of the key ones as it applies to being a mom and being an even better mom. So trusting myself that I'm doing the best I can, even though it's not perfect, and trusting that they are doing the best that they can. trusting it will all work out in the end, even if it's bumpy along the way. And just to trust in each day that however each day came to pass was good enough. And I'm doing a mostly good job. This just sort of trust to me is almost peace. It's just a slight, it's a way of, especially, I have teenagers and young adults. So to trust that they're learning what they need to learn and whatever trials and tribulations come about, that this is part of their journey, and they're on their own journey and I'm on my journey, and that trust that we'll all be here for each other doing the best we can with whatever turns up next. And hopefully it won't be another pandemic or something like that.
I love this exercise, Jesse, of the intention setting every year that you helped me to start doing as well. So my words, love, play, and shine, totally apply to motherhood as well, now that you have me thinking about it. Love, I think that this first quarter of the year has been all about showing up with love for the kids and myself. Play, so playing as the world reopens, playing in ways that we haven't ever done so before, like skiing and making snow angels, me making snow angels, allowing myself to play a little bit more. And then shine, being that lighthouse, not only professionally and in entrepreneurial world, but also to allow myself to receive compliments and to shine in the authentically, imperfectly perfect mothering role that I am for my two kids right now.
And you're helping them shine and helping them play and helping them learn to receive love and give love and show up with love for others. So I think this is actually the perfect time to just jump into our reflection questions, which I'm going to start us off with. What tone do you want to set for your relationship with your kids and as a mom in your life? And what words, if you have guiding words for the year, might you choose? And in those words, they're generally feelings. So they're not I'm going to get my kid into college, but how you want to feel when you think about them and your relationship with them. And so what is your intention as a mom for the rest of 2022?
And ultimately, it boils down to the question, how do you want to be an even better mom? Like, what's that going to look like? What's your intention for being an even better mom?
And I also want to point out the beauty of that question, which is it's a very abundant question, because we're already taking for granted that you are a good mom. And it's just, how do you want to be an even better mom? Not that you've fallen short, but just the cherry on top.
So I want to close our podcast with this quote by Jodi Picoult. The very fact that you worry about being a good mom means that you are one.
And when you start from that place, the energy with which you show up for momming is positive, fun, playful, shining, full of love, full of gratitude, awe, and wonder for all the things, whether they are toddler questions, trips to Disney, puberty, volleyball tournaments, baseball games, new drivers, all the things. And so the fact that you worry means you are a great mom. Nothing has gone wrong. And it's in your power to just choose how you want to be an even better one.
We'd love to work with you in person on more aspects of how to be a better mom, how to love more, how to play more at our first ever Mindful Healers Connect in Nature retreat. We still have some spots open, and we hope that you will consider joining us.
And you actually get to play on that one. So please join us to practice playing. Please stay on after the sound of the singing bowl for today's mindful moment offering. And we would also be most grateful if you would leave us some stars and reviews if you enjoy the podcast, and share it with others. And a final reminder to take a listen midweek to the re-released episodes of a Mother's Day gift, an episode on how to set yourself up for an amazing Mother's Day, honoring your relationship with your own mother, some thoughts on really taking that to the next level, however your relationship is in this moment. And then the re-release of how to be a good mom, which will also be released on a Wednesday midweek. We hope you enjoy listening to them again. Welcome to today's mindful moment. Today's mindful moment is going to be a reading of a very special mindful book that is a favorite of mine that I have shared many times during my most recent retreat, and I am inspired to share it today. It's called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. As you listen, find a comfortable seat. Connect your sit bones to the earth, or pause and stop walking. Notice your feet on the earth. Take in a huge inhale and an exhale, let it go. As you listen to the offerings and enjoy. The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse by Charlie Mackesy. I'm so small, said the mole. Yes, said the boy, but you make a huge difference. What do you want to be when you grow up? Kind, said the boy. What do you think success is? Asked the boy. To love, said the mole. Do you have a favorite saying? Asked the boy. Yes, said the mole. What is it? If at first you don't succeed, have some cake. I see. Does it work? Every time. I got you a delicious cake, said the mole. Did you? Yes. Where is it? I ate it, said the mole. Oh, but I got you another. Did you? Where is that one? The same thing seems to have happened. What do you think is the biggest waste of time? Comparing yourself to others, said the mole. I wonder if there is a school of unlearning. Most of the old moles I know wish they had listened less to their fears and more to their dreams. What is that over there? It's the wild, said the mole. Don't fear it. Imagine how we would be if we were less afraid. I'm not afraid, said the mole. If I wasn't caught in this snare, I would kill you, said the fox. If you stay in that snare, you will die, said the mole. So the mole chewed through the wire with his tiny teeth. One of the greatest freedoms is how we react to things. I've learned how to be in the present. How? Asked the boy. I find a quiet spot and shut my eyes and breathe. That's good. And then I focus. What do you focus on? Cake, said the mole. Isn't it odd we can only see our outsides, but nearly everything happens on the inside? So much beauty we need to look after. Being kind to yourself is one of the greatest kindnesses, said the mole. We often wait for kindness, but being kind to yourself can start now, said the mole. Often the hardest person to forgive is yourself. Sometimes I feel lost, said the boy. Me too, said the mole, but we love you, and love brings you home. I think everyone is just trying to get home, said the mole. Doing nothing with friends is never doing nothing, is it? Asked the boy. No, said the mole. Everyone is a bit scared, said the horse, but we are less scared together. Tears fall for a reason, and they are your strength, not your weakness. What is the bravest thing you've ever said? Asked the boy. Help, said the horse. When have you been at your strongest? Asked the boy. When I have dared to show my weakness. Asking for help isn't giving up, said the horse. It's refusing to give up. Sometimes I worry you will all realize I'm ordinary, said the boy. Love does not need you to be extraordinary, said the mole. We all need a reason to keep going, said the horse. What's yours? You three, said the fox. Getting home, said the boy. Cake, said the mole. I've discovered something better than cake. No, you haven't, said the boy. I have, replied the mole. What is it? A hug. It lasts longer. Nothing beats kindness, said the horse. It sits quietly beyond all things. Sometimes, said the horse. Sometimes what? Asked the boy. Sometimes just getting up and carrying on is brave and magnificent. How do they look so together and perfect? Asked the boy. There's a lot of frantic paddling going on beneath, said the horse. The greatest illusion, said the mole, is that life should be perfect. Life is difficult, but you are loved. So you know all about me, asked the boy. Yes, said the horse, and you still love me? We love you all the more. Sometimes I think you believe in me more than I do, said the boy. You'll catch up, said the horse. The fox never really speaks, whispered the boy. No, and it's lovely he is with us, said the horse. To be honest, I often feel I have nothing interesting to say, said the fox. Being honest is always interesting, said the horse. There's something I haven't told you, said the horse. What's that? Said the boy. I can fly, but I stopped because it made the other horses jealous. Well, we love you whether you can fly or not. Is your glass half empty or half full? Asked the mole. I think I'm grateful to have a glass, said the boy. We don't know about tomorrow, said the horse. All we need to know is that we love each other. When the dark clouds come, keep going. When the big things feel out of control, focus on what you love right under your nose. This storm will pass. We have such a long way to go, sighed the boy. Yes, but look how far we've come, said the horse. What's your best discovery? Asked the mole. That I'm enough as I am, said the boy. I've realized why we are here, whispered the boy. For cake? Asked the mole. To love, said the boy. And be loved, said the horse. What do we do when our hearts hurt? Asked the boy. We wrap them with friendship, shared tears, and time till they wake hopeful and happy again. Do you have any other advice? Asked the boy. Don't measure how valuable you are by the way you are treated, said the horse. Always remember you matter, you're important, and you are loved, and you bring to this world things no one else can. Taking a moment to reflect on some of those beautiful words and how they might be relevant in your life. Bring a hand to heart and another hand to top. Take in a deep inhale. And an exhale, let it go. Bring your hands to heart center, palms together, thumbs connect to the sternum. Taking a moment to express an intention, a wish, or an aspiration from something during this mindful moment that spoke to you, that perhaps you would like to include in your life. May you all have a beautiful week. May you all be loved, and may you all realize how valuable you are. Namaste.